excited. I'm so excited. I'm like, we're live, but I was going to say I'm booked out for the story shows, not the panels. And you guys, I'm just talking a moment as you guys come in, say hey. But for the story shows, I'm booked out to the end of May. Now, the show's booked out to the end of May because that's awesome, you guys.
Yes.
That's the power of people, y'all. The power of people. The power of people. All right, you guys. Say hey as you guys come in. I feel so good today. I was also going to tell you, Elizabeth, I had a strategy session with another woman after that, and it was so great. And she's coming on the show now. But you guys, as you guys come in and catch this, I love strategy sessions. I don't know about any of y'all, but strategy sessions like light my soul on fire, which is probably why I want to become a consultant because I love them so much. All right, you guys, say hey as you guys come in. We're on episode 68, you guys, which means we are like well over we're getting close to the countdown to halfway to 100. You know what I mean? Like halfway to the second quarter of 100. So that's super exciting, you guys. Super exciting. And also just you guys, because I'm going to say this one more time at the end of it. So we have the panel shows happening as well. I think next week's panel is almost full. I might have 2 seats open. So if anybody's interested, the link to the panel show is in the descriptor. Click it and join us. Is that me? Is that me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I heard like an echoing, so I just want to make sure that wasn't me. So you guys, all right, so say hey as you guys come in. Let us know how you are doing. How is everybody doing? I always want to check in when we come here because I know we're in the middle of this pandemic. So I just want to make sure that everybody is doing good. I hope everybody is staying safe, social distancing, keeping healthy. Good vibes, you guys. Good vibes, lots of good energy. So I'm going to drop it in my intro, and I'm going to introduce my very awesome guest who has some really good, who has a great story, but also has some tangible stuff for you guys in this period especially. It's really going to be great. And for anybody who did not maybe check the comments, she has been so great as to provide an amazing abundance and prosperity sleep hypnosis, which I've done for 2 nights now. Like I wake up and I feel so great. Like seriously, maybe that's why like I feel the way I feel, but I've done it for 2 nights and it's awesome. It also knocks me like right out too. I'm like, so, and just if you guys catch us on the replay, #replay. And for anybody who feels so called to do so, if you guys love this show and you find value in it, please share this to your audience, to your people, so that we can continue, so I can continue bringing amazing women to the show. Okay. So again, as you guys come in, say hey, let us know how you're doing. And without further ado, I'm going to drop into my epic intro, introduce my epic guest, and we're going to have an epic fucking show, you guys. Like, oh my God. All right. Oh. So hello, welcome to the Tough Woman Table, you guys. I'll like never get tired of saying this. This is the table where I invite some super badass tough women like Elizabeth here to take a seat, join in on the conversation, and share her amazing story and her amazing, amazing tips that she has for you guys. So at Tough Woman, I believe that all women have the power within themselves to live life authentically, free from fear, confident in who they are, and empowered to go out and create a life that absolutely lights their soul on fire. I share this belief by championing tough women who have walked through the fire, felt the fear, faced adversity, and kept pushing through it all. And women who now live the life they want as the woman they were created to be, and women who own their stories so that other women can embrace and own theirs as well. Because as we all know, and as I'm going to be famous and quoted for saying one day, okay, when you give yourself permission to own and share your story, you give someone else permission in the same breath. And when I said I'm gonna be quoted one day, I actually quoted myself, and I did make a quote out of that. So I'm sorry, it's done. So, all right. Oh my gosh, that was great. I'll tell you, Elizabeth, before we go here, and I said this to one of the guests, I almost changed that intro one time, and I'm thankful the universe did not allow me to do it because I like. Okay. All right. So everybody, I would like to introduce my amazing guest, speaker and founder of Believe. Oh my gosh. Not Be Live, but Believe. Not Be Live.
Oh no, baby. You had it correct the first time. Or it was Be Live.
Oh, Be Live. Okay. What? Okay. y'all.
It's okay. Everyone does it.
All right. So you guys, Elizabeth is, first and foremost, I want to say something. You're 21, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Elizabeth is only 21, you guys, and she's so much further along than I could have ever prayed to be at 21. I don't even think I knew that there was even a level like what you're on. And Cheney says, longest. Oh, Cheney, it is a long ass week. It's been a long ass 2 weeks, y'all. And kids are home. Nobody's going anywhere. It's going to get longer. But all right, you guys, I'm going to let Elizabeth introduce herself. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about what she does. And then we're going to drop right into this episode. So hello, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashley. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show, allowing me to speak to your amazing guests, and shout out to you guys for investing in yourself today, for being here. I know there's a lot of stuff you could be doing, regardless of what everyone's saying. There's still a million things that you could be doing, a million things you could be tuning in, but today you chose to tune into me and Ashley. So I just want to say thank you so much for investing into yourself, because we are going to make this juicy for you guys. So a little bit about me, as Ashley had introduced, I am the speaker and the founder of BeLive. And no worries, Ashley, like I said, everybody pronounces it a little different. It's spelled BLIVE. So if you're interested, we'll talk more about it at the end, but you can begin to look us up. And basically, it's a movement. What a lot of you are very familiar with the whole concept, but not the word itself, because it's a new word. It's a way of living. It's a culture. And it's essentially being a conscious creator. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that term already if you follow Ashley. But if you aren't, a conscious creator is someone who is aware that their thoughts, feelings, and actions, aka their vibration, is a direct reflection of everything that is going on around them. So our entire universe is everything that is going on within us. And so what I do as my whole being and everything I love about BeLive and what I love to do as myself is just teach people that everything in our vibration is exactly what we're experiencing in our reality. And so today, what I'm here to do is teach you guys how to leverage your negative emotions and turn them into the fuel for getting abundance. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's a little bit about me. I teach people how to do craziness stuff. So,
oh man, and I am excited. I'm going to hold on. I meant to share this out, and I want to actually tag a couple people in here. Okay, I'm like, whoa, there we go. Okay, hold on one second. No, I don't want to do that. All right, so here we go. All right, you guys. And Cheney says, quarantine. Oh my God. Oh, hey, you guys. I can see who's watching us from my phone, but I can't see it on this, you guys. All right. So I just wanted to put that there. I wanted to bring certain people. A couple of the girls I was telling you about, I wanted them to be on here because I think this is going to be great for them as well. So they're conscious creators as well. Queenie's you talk about conscious creator, that's the people that are on here. So, all right. So my favorite question, actually, it's my first favorite question. I have two that come onto this show, but he's a conscious creator too. He's a male conscious creator. So, anyway, so I would love for you to just take a deep dive and tell everybody about what it is that got you to doing BeLive and just walking in and creating that movement.
Oh my gosh, yes. So almost like any amazing creation, any amazing idea, it all came out of my own personal frustration. So ever since I was little, I've been pretty much obsessed with just achieving massive, not just massive achievement, but particularly in the wealth region, because I was first born into a decent amount of money and then it was all ripped away. And so I was like, oh my gosh, ever since then I was just obsessed with getting it. But I never got it. So I was trying so hard to get it, but I could never do it. And I was doing everything what you would think would be right. Like I was working 80, 100 hours a week. I was following my mentors. I was studying. I was networking. I was doing everything that you possibly could think of to do right. Like all the right action steps, right? And what led me to even deeper on BeLive is, okay, first you find out, yes, like your professional success is a direct reflection from your personal success. So obviously, yes, personal development, blah, blah, blah. But being the science nerd I am, I started to dive into the deeper of like, why visualization, why affirmations, blah, blah, blah. So then I learned more about neuroscience and what chemically really happens in our body and why we are doing the tools that they tell you to do in personal development. And then I learned about the law of attraction. Then I was like, wait, there's not the only law in the universe. It can't be the only law. So then I dug into all this information and I realized that, and BeLive is just like the way of living that a conscious creator would live. So if we want to define the term, that's how like BeLive like came to be about. I just slapped a term on like the way of living of conscious creation. But I learned how to like, then I was like, okay, well, everything's manifesting. So that's what then turned me to learning like what manifesting even was. But then I was like, why not just manifest one thing? Why not live your whole life as a manifestation? Why not live everything in it the way you want it to be? Like, why settle for anything? The universe gives us infinite realities, gives us infinite possibilities. You can do like literally absolutely everything under following universal laws, which leave us not limited whatsoever. So everything that's AKA what people think is a limitation, it's really leverage when you view it from another, advantage point. So that's what helped me come about like BeLive itself. And then I wanted to bring more people together. What helped me form it in together as like got the idea of like, oh, a community, a movement. I was like, I can't be the only person in, the world who knows this and lives this way. Like there's got to be obviously more people that know about it other than the people that taught me. And I want to help more people know about this because as soon as I started applying it, I mean, I was working 80 hours a week, doing all this crazy stuff. Like I was in a job I hated, all this stuff, and I still work a lot because I am passionate about the stuff that I do, and there's lots of avenues I like to involve myself in. But my income 10x, my network 10x with the right people. I wasn't involved with a bunch of like people that were like freeloaders and just trying to use up my freebies and like not do anything, or like people that were just trying to suck all the information out of me and then not add value back. So my network got stronger. The people I was with, everything about me. I used to be like really, really, really fat and overweight and addicted to alcohol. So like everything about me was changing once I applied like not just personal development and positivity and like the law of attraction, but I dove like really deep into like the why behind these things and the fundamental principles, because then I could understand and get past all like the mainstream jargon and understand like what really happens in our bodies and minds and how that directly reflects our reality. So that was a little bit of a longer explanation I'm sure you're probably thinking of, Ashley. But when it comes to something like a topic like this, as I'm sure you guys know, it's so simple, yet it's complex, because when something's as high of a vibration of a subject as something like this, our three-dimensional vocabulary can't really describe it very simply. So that's why I had to kind of explain it longer, but you get the picture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so believe it. It's BLIVE, Stephen, but it's okay. So
I love that. Yes, thank you, Stephen. BeLive.
Hello, Sandra. Before we go any, Sandra, I'm getting ready to look at those photos soon. I got a very nice camera, and I finally learned how to take pictures on it. Y'all, I got a really nice camera as a gift, and I kid you not, the only thing that I didn't have it on the photo setting. And I'm going, why does the shutter not work? And it just kept adjusting the screen. It's because I didn't have it on the photo setting, you guys. This is why you read. This is why you YouTube things, okay? And she says, thank you for the abundance universe. And I will comment on that. So someone said to me, they're like, how do you feel? Oh, Emily, she said, how do you feel? Like, how's everybody feeling? I said, I'm going to tell you what. I said, actually, this is like the most abundant I've ever felt in my freaking life. And I know that's a weird place to be in, considering we're in the middle of this. But I literally feel like anything is absolutely everything is possible right now. Like, and I say that because everything that we thought was a security is gone. The fact that everything we thought was a security is gone is an actual like reality at this moment, to let you guys know that anything can actually happen in this world. So, yeah, get it. I'm gonna become a gift while I'm at it, and then I'm learning. Yeah, I am learning. I'm learning all sorts of like new things today. I can't even tell you how much stuff I've learned today. But anyways, all right. So before you dive into the principles and stuff, because I'm really excited to hear about this, because I like quantum physics. I think me and you talked about that book. You Are the Universe. Maybe it was you. Yes. And oh my gosh, this stuff, I love it. I get really attached to those documentaries on Netflix where they talk about like the universe and everything and how, and they're just sitting there like, and this is like not real. I'm like, oh my God. But I want to ask you, because everybody has that story. What was the absolute pivot point in your journey where you're like, okay, this isn't working anymore, and there has to be something else? Because I always like to hear like, what was the person's like pivot point where they're like, okay, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore.
So I would say there was a couple of major turning points, but the one that really helped me transition from the whole like personal development down to like the deeper, like the science, the neurology, like the deeper than just like the basic streamlined law of the universe, which I love law of the universe. Obviously, I'm not discrediting any of the laws. They're all amazing and equally important. But you guys get like, if you guys know a lot about the subject, which you guys do, obviously, you feel me. You know what I'm talking about. Like it's so much deeper than that, and there's a lot more to it. The moment, it was so funny. So I was in this sales job, and I was working for a third-party marketing firm. And the client was DirecTV, and I don't watch TV. No hate to anybody who does. I just can't sit down long enough to like really watch TV. I never have ever been since a kid, so I don't watch TV. And here I was in a sales position selling TV, so I hated it. I felt unethical. I couldn't relate to people. But I loved sales business, and I loved to communicate, and I felt like, and I love being competitive. So I loved all the other aspects of it. And but I was the job that I was like just totally not having really any success in either. And so I was totally stressed out. I was burnt out, and I was just trying so hard. And I remember I was speeding because I was like, I don't want to be 2 minutes late, because I was one of those people. I don't know if you guys have ever been in like a Sam's Club or a Menards or a Costco, those people that are like, at those, and they're like DirecTV people, and like I was, right? And so I was like, I don't want to wait a second, but I was really good. Like I could get lots of people to the table and whatever. I was good, but I couldn't close the sale, so it just drove me insane. Probably because I felt unethical, right? And so I was like, I shouldn't be watching David. That's how I felt. And so what helped me transition from like being in that like moment is I was driving. I was speeding to work because I was like, I don't want to be 2 minutes late. I will miss, like, that could be a sale right there. Someone walk past me and blah, 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 blah. And on my way, I was just really stressed about money, right? That's the whole reason I was speeding. And so as I'm speeding, I, of course, get pulled over and I get a speeding ticket and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like obliterated because I'm already highly stressed out. And so I've gotten plenty of speeding tickets. I speed way too much. But this time it was like bad. I was like, no, I was crying. It was only like $100-something. But at that time, I was so broke. I was like if I got $100-something now, I'd be like, heck yeah, like my license isn't going to get taken away this time. You know, like I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, but, you know, but if that happened, I was like obliterated, and I was like, oh my god, you know, like time away. And then I got this $100-something ticket. As I'm driving, I hit a pothole, and I don't just flat my tire. I I messed up my rim. And at the time, I was also driving a BMW that was obviously expensive to maintain, upkeep. Any single time something broke down on it, and I was approaching like the 100,000 mile mark on like a 2006, so it was starting to have like all these problems, and it was like just what I needed. And so I was like, great, between the rim and tire, that's like another 700 something. So on the way to work, that I was trying not to be like a minute late to, so I didn't like, you know, lose out on any money, blah blah blah, I ended up costing myself like $1,000-something in expenses, and I can't now drive my car, so now I'm like really late to work. So I'm like, so I'm just like obliterated, and I'm just like, I literally want to die, right? Like I'm having those moments where I'm like, screw this, fuck this, like I just want to die, like I can't handle it anymore, like going through that, right? And it's like raining to top it off. And it was bad, right? And I just remember being so fried that finally I was like, I can't even go to work. I'm not going to make a sale like this anyways. And I just sit in my car. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kill myself today. blah, blah, blah. But I got to talk myself into doing it because, like, I can't do that right now. Like, I still, like, care about my mom and stuff. So I was like, but I can't handle this pain. So, like, I got to talk myself into it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, that right there goes to show that I don't want to do it that bad. If I still sit there, like, regardless of how much pain I'm saying I can't handle it, there's still hope. There's still a reason. Like, if I'm supposed to be dead, I would be dead already. So then that's why I was like, I gotta figure this out. Like, there's been so many times before that where I was like, I gotta figure it out. I'll study all night. I'll work hard. But I was like, no, like, I have to figure this out. And then that's when I like was like asked, like that's when something created the shift in me, which I'll explain like why that then happened scientifically. But a shift came in me, which actually just explain now because I'm getting a little bit off subject, trying to like hold that thought off. And I learned this only from diving into I learned this only from diving into this topic from this moment, learning the why behind things, how the brain works, and the way we act obviously is in alignment with the way our programming is wired. And our programming is wired through consistency or through dominancy. And consistency is like habits, memory, things you're doing over and over and over again. And dominancy is emotion. So people always say like consistency is key, which is absolutely true, but dominancy is key when it comes to reprogramming yourself. So it's both. You definitely want to do both, but I had such a dominant emotion in that moment. My DNA literally shifted. That's when people have such traumatic moments where they're like, it was just different. I decided. What neurologically happens in our mind is that our DNA literally shifts right there on the spot. And you are in the moment, like you adopt a new identity and you're like, this is how it is for me. So then you're now able to, those neural pathways are now opened in ways that they weren't already opened. And you are now able to think and perceive in a different way. So I was able to then take the personal development information and ask like the why behind things and like blah, 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 blah. And then and ask myself like, aren't there more laws of the universe? So that was the biggest pivot point for me because I was like, I have like no really, because yes, resourcefulness is a thing, but you have to be in the energy of resourcefulness, right? And so I was thinking I didn't have like any resources. I literally didn't have like any money. I didn't know how I was going to pay those $1,000 that I just raked up on the way there, let alone my bills for that coming week. So I was like broke at that moment. So I was basically like, I need magic. Like I'm either going to like just mess up my credit and like just do the poverty thing, like, you know, which I was terrified of going into adulthood because I was like, I grew up in that. So I was like, as an adult, I was broke, but I didn't want to be in like poverty, you know what I'm saying? Where you're like drowning in like tens of thousands of dollars in debt, which I had experience later on in my life, which I have another story for. But that was basically like my pivot point was that right there.
Oh my gosh. And hold on before we go. She's like, love your earrings. I was like, I had to put, I was like, I love your earrings. Oh, thank you. I like these too. This is called, I came home from work and I kind of did my hair and I got on some calls and didn't have enough time to take a shower and style my hair. So I put on earrings because that makes everything better. That's what that is. Okay. That's what that is. And all right, Stephen, I hope you catch us on the replay. And when you catch on the replay, you should share it. Just a hint there. He's like, I worked for DirecTV at a call center.
That's rough. That's rough. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I would take the sales position before I would take a call center for DirecTV. And then Angela says, hello, ladies. Hello, Angela. Oh my gosh. All right. So I would like to know if you want to go ahead and tell everybody a little bit, how did you like start that moving forward from that point? What was the next piece that really got you to like going to the point where you were able to start really like changing everything within your life? Because I'm sure people are going, and Jane says hated it, but decent money. There you go. I'm sure people are going, okay, well, since you're saying it's so juicy, please tell us about all of this juiciness. So what was it that was really like the deep dive into going full blown into this way of living in your life?
Mainly is going back to the consistency and the dominancy. So then once I learned that like the why behind why you use all these tools, aka how the brain and the mind works, like how it shifts and how our reality shifts from using it, I then started applying those fundamentals towards everything. So our action and the way we do things is entirely based off of two things, and that's avoiding pain and gaining pleasure. So once I learned, you talk about like limiting beliefs and blah, 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 and conflicting beliefs, but it's like, how are things limiting us in the first place? Like something, it could be obvious, right? If you're like, money is the root of all evil, and obviously if like you want to attract more money, that's obvious, right? But some people could not be aware of what they're really attaching pain and pleasure to whenever they are in something more general. Like, I would like to travel the world, blah, 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 but I am worried about maybe my kid getting sick traveling, even though I would love to travel with them, and consciously I would love to travel, but like deep, deep, deep down, I'm more so worried about my kid getting sick. So it's like when we learn to identify like the pain and pleasure points behind everything, we're able to identify like what's holding us back, like what beliefs specifically are holding us back, because a lot of times they're not obvious and we don't even realize that we're thinking them about ourselves. So that's number one. The second thing would then be, of course, like applying it, and then knowing that it's not just like in terms of applying it and hoping to see results, like actually getting yourself to apply it, and not just in a forcing way and being a disciplined way, but a way that like works and is fun for you, is a whole different journey itself. Like that's like the spiritual journey itself. So when I first started applying like these tools, like residuously, tools like all the personal development tools that they tell you to do, like visualization, affirmations, meditation, you know, making sure you work out consistently, like all those tools, right? I could talk your guys' ear off about the tools. I read the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and he talks about, like, of course, like having like a morning routine, blah, blah, blah. And he talks about actually having a lot of those personal development tools in your morning routine. And so I was doing it, but like, I wasn't excited to wake up like he said he was. And I was like, this feels like a chore. And then I was like, this personal development thing feels like a chore. And then I was like, resisting personal development and then anything that had to do with like work. And I was like, wow, I was just so obsessed with work and going all in and blah, blah, blah. And now I like don't want to do anything, and I'm like pushed away, but I consciously like want it so bad. So then that's what then led me to the discoveries within myself, which is basically what we're going to talk about today, and how to know, like, not just, of course, like the limiting beliefs itself and how to identify them and whatnot, but how to take them and then use them as a fuel. Like take your negativity and use it as the fuel to actually get you to point to A to B. Because the same reasons, like the same excuses someone has is the same reason someone's doing it. So all we have to do is do that for ourselves. And those are basically like the three chunks to go for someone to go by.
All right. So I'm not going to hold you back. You got 30 minutes, man, to just tell everybody all the juiciness, because I'm curious too, because this is really, it's funny. You talk about this being such a conscious and subconscious, but it is funny how you start feeling the shift. And a lot of it comes from the personal development stuff. Like I've noticed that a lot of my energy has come back just by increasing my meditation and really working to connect with my own energy on a really deep level. So, I'm very interested to hear what you're about to say. So just feel free. Just go. Just fly. Bye.
I love it, Ashley. You have awesome energy. All right, awesome. So addressing kind of like what's going on in relation to everything that's going on to the world. Prior to it, I know that there was already a million stressors going on. And so something like this, not even just the fear of the sickness, but then everything else, like the streamline effect of everything else that's affecting like the economy, seeing people, events, etc., right? That causes a lot of stress on the body, but it's only causing us stress when we give it a meaning that allows us to give us stress. And so going back to using our limiting beliefs as the fuel for getting us to where we want to go, we understand them by our emotions. So you guys all know like well, maybe you don't. So if you don't know, I'm just going to state it really fast. Like the law of vibration basically states that everything in the universe is on a vibrational wavelength. And everything in the universe has its own unique vibration, and law of correspondence states that whatever vibration we hold internally, we experience externally, and that in any given moment, there are multiple realities happening all at once. So in order for us to experience it, our vibration just must simply match it. And so whenever we are going through all these stressors in the world, we are in the vibration of stress. But so when we're in the vibration of stress, right, we're then only perceiving, we're in a reality of stress. We're not literally able to get the answers to our solutions. We are not able to really receive or perceive anything we want to happen to us, to keep it simple. So then we want to ask ourselves, like, what causes us to really get stressed? Because it's not the event. There's nothing in the world or someone or something that can cause you to feel a certain way. Now, influence is very real, obviously. Like, I'm a person of influence, so I'm not going to tell you influence isn't real. It's 100% real, but we as human beings have free will, right? We all know that. And so the way we feel and any meaning we put on something is entirely up to us. And so we want to look at what causes stress. It's not the event. It's not a person itself. It's merely the meaning we put on something. And so whenever we are going throughout life and we are feeling any sort of emotion less than a high vibrational state meaning love, joy, peace, something of those states of being, we are out of alignment with that which we want. Because when we are in alignment with that which we want, whether that be money, in this case we're talking about like abundance, wealth, but rather that either be like a relationship, a particular experience, it's going to feel in flow. It's going to feel in alignment. So you're going to feel those high vibrations. So whenever we are feeling anything less than that, even if it's neutral, we know we can use emotional intelligence as an indicator to say, hey, I am literally out of vibration of that which I want. So even though technically I'm still on the journey to getting it no matter what, I'm now causing all this additional resistance, causing my path to be longer, having myself to learn additional lessons that I wouldn't have to learn if I would just be open, you know? So we want to use our emotions by merely, whenever we feel less than a high vibrational state, is to then get grounded in that moment and then ask ourselves, like, what am I thinking? Become aware of those exact thoughts we're thinking in that moment. Because when we come aware of those thoughts, it is those thoughts right there that are causing us to be out of alignment. And it's those thoughts right there that we think over and over and over again that then become our beliefs, that then become a part of our belief system, that then form our neurology, that then form our vibration for 90% of the time being, which then forms our experience. So we always want to use our emotional intelligence to teach us like how close and in alignment we are of that which we want. Because speaking of just the planet Earth itself, the planet Earth itself is in a third dimensional state. Like, so as we live life and we're in like a normal state of being, like we're in like a normal move, like we're not like super happy, we're not like super low, we're like reasonable, we're feeling neutral, we're in a 3-dimensional state. And we all know about manifesting here. If you guys are watching this, I know you guys know about manifesting. Things happen. The law of gestation is very real. So it takes time for stuff to happen regardless. And I don't like to use the word time because time isn't real, but there's a process. A cycle has to take place. So in our perception, it happens in time. But as we raise our frequency, we actually hop out of a 3rd-dimensional state and we raise to like a 4th dimension, 5th dimension. So the higher we are and the more in alignment we are, the higher of a dimension we are and the faster things can come to us. So things can happen almost like instantaneously whenever you're very much in alignment. That's why yogis and stuff like that are able to like manifest things in their hand. It's because they are very much in alignment. So to give you guys, to start this off though, I always like to, like whenever I'm working with people, I always like to make sure that everybody has anchored in the belief that anything can happen under universal laws and that the universe literally wants you to be abundant and is physically, like, literally, y'all, picture the universe trying to give you money right now, but you have this force field around you that's like literally pushing it off whenever you're not in alignment, because that's what's happening. Because everything is energy, and so everything you want is merely energy, and we are attracting it. We have our force fields, and we also they don't talk about the law, because this is more of like a law of like physics, but everything's physics. Like the law of attraction is physics. So there is like a repel, like how magnets, you know, have you ever tried to put like opposite magnets that don't match? They actually like push away from each other. You do that with the things that you're out of alignment with. You actually push it away. So that's why sometimes we can get really close to something and then like mess it up, along with like self-sabotage. It's because we're pushing it away. So we want, basically, whenever we are feeling less than a joyous state, know that we are pushing something away, and all we have to do is become attuned to those exact thoughts and then redirect them in a way that serves us. So you redirect it in a way that serves you by making sure that, for one, the affirmation is structured properly so that aligns with quantum physics, which we're about to go over, and that what you're saying is, so number one, you want to make sure that it's aligned with, you know, the affirmations. And then you also want to make sure that it's in alignment with your pain and pleasure points with what you want, and not what you currently are feeling. But did that make sense? Actually, I feel like
yeah. So it's in alignment with so where you want to see it. So like, I'll give myself, and then Kelly real quick. So Kelly says, "Good evening, ladies." And the best way I can put this actually is and I was doing a training on this last night. So it's already assuming that you're at that point in your life. And if I'm wrong, then you can correct me. So it's already feeling as if you're already at that point in your life, wherever that's at. So it's like me saying, I'm going to be the next Oprah. It's already feeling like I'm already in that space and I'm at that vibration. And I might have botched that up, but that's my interpretation.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. And sometimes what people get caught up in is they start feeling resistance when they do that, even, right? And so for people, when that happens, if someone's used to, they're like, hey, I have anchored in the belief that everything's possible and everything's for my benefit, and the universe is trying to rain down money on me, and so all I got to do is let it in. So all I have to do is easily release my resistance, claim it in existence as I already am Oprah, like you said, and do it like that. But that's if you can actually feel it. So we always want to use our affirmations and what we're feeling or what we're saying to ourselves with emotional attachment. So if when we say that, because yes, we always want to claim into existence what we want, but if when we say that, our feeling is still less than like a high vibrational state, it still shows we're out of alignment. So do that. Yes, if you feel on fire when you do that. But if you are someone who is, you know what, I don't see, like, I just don't have anchored in the belief that everything's possible in the universe. So I just still feel like I just kind of need to work with more of like the positive, like encouraging myself. You want to go with, it's still personal and present. 3 rules you want to go by when structuring an affirmation is positive, personal, and present. So just like you said, Ashley, like you're claiming existence now, that is still a way someone wants to do it. But say person B that's receiving the resistance, they might say, each and every single day, I am becoming closer to being more wealthy. And then person A might be like, I am wealthy. So they're both positive, personal, and present, but one person is saying that I already am, and then one person is saying that each and every day I am becoming more. So they're both getting the same job done. So it doesn't matter which one you need to be, whether if you're person A or person B, one doesn't work more than the other. It only matters on how the statement makes you feel internally. Like you want to go off your internal vibration clock. I always like to say like your feelings are like your own little GPS system.
Well, now that you explain it, I understand it now more. And Kelly says, I need exercises to help me with how to properly manifest. And I get what you're saying now. So the way that worked, and now I'm glad you said it. So it's like before when I had a lot more money resistance, consciously I was like, I am wealthy. Like I'm saying the affirmations, but I would go, I am wealthy. I'm never going to be broke again. And that one would trigger me. I go, I'm never going to be broke again. And I would feel this deep pit, like this fear emanate out of my stomach. And I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't match that. That doesn't match that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I'm so thankful that you just said that, like light bulbs went off. I was like, I almost forgot to mention, like it goes along with the positive, because obviously positive makes sense. But by positive, what I mean by that is you don't want to use the words that you don't want to manifest. So if you say broke, another thing is, because our subconscious, it's operating off of dominancy until you pass something habitually enough that it goes out there. So it's really selective. Like it only picks up like keywords to think simply. So it's not going to hear things like don't, not, no. So it hears I am going to be broke again. I am going to be broke again. And it's like, oh, that's crippling, you know?
Yeah, you told me that because I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm learning, you guys. And God said it best. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you would say to a mountain, move, and it will move. And she said, it's always been our lack of faith.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. And that's the number one thing for people. It's the number one thing for people. And so what I always like to give advice for, the only reason why I'm a woman of faith, and I love that she said that, because a lot of people, they dismiss faith because they think it's something different. The only reason why I get into science or anything like that is to tie in all the non-believers, basically. The people who feel like they need some sort of proof in order to have faith. And that's not having faith, right? So the reason why I always like to explain the science behind things is because based off of how the brain works, is you almost need some sort of explanation sometimes if you haven't already conditioned yourself to reason in faith. So another thing when passing a belief to your subconscious brain is you want to know like how it even gets there in the first place. So we have 3 layers to our brain. To keep it simple, we'll just say top, middle, bottom. Okay. And bottom is like the subconscious. The top part is responsible for your reasoning, you could look at something and be like, yes, that is a mirror, that is this, blah, 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 or I don't believe this doesn't make sense. It's your reasoning side. Your middle part of your brain are your senses. So this is where you like smell stuff. This is where you can feel stuff. Feel is not in like intuitive feel, but like feel is in touch. And so like your senses, your 5 senses, and then of course your subconscious. So in order for anything to get your subconscious, because things can't just like go to your subconscious without it bypassing the first couple layers of brain. So there's different ways, there's different tools that you guys can use to bypass those levels of your brain, which the hypnosis that Ashley had mentioned to you guys in the beginning of the video, that has a tool to help bypass the first levels of the brain so that it takes those affirmations and downloads it directly to your subconscious. But say we're going to do this in a wakeful state. When we're doing affirmations, also going off feeling, if you want to believe a statement, but it's causing a lot of resistance, you basically have to reason yourself into believing it through pain and pleasure. So say, this is something that makes a lot of sense, and it's a belief that a lot of people have around money. So people say, in order for me to have more, I have to take from someone else, because that makes mathematical sense, right? Like, in order for me to take, I subtract over here. Like that makes mathematical sense, but that's not how money works, right? Like I could sell you something that makes you money, right? So it's always, and that's actually a limiting belief because it causes someone pain and someone who doesn't want to take away from someone. Human beings as a whole, naturally, we don't want to hurt. We want to love, we want to nurture, and we want to help each other grow. So if you have a belief like, in order for me to, have more, I have to take from someone, which most people literally think that, maybe not those exact words, but something around that, they're going to feel like, oh, that's painful because I would rather go without if that means helping someone. Most human beings feel that way. So then it's like, wait a minute, I have to then, to bypass the first level of my brain, I have to then reason, that's not what's really happening here. And I have to add pain and pleasure to add pleasure by, no, what I'm doing is I'm actually adding value to people, and it's hurting them by not doing business with me, by not buying this off me or XYZ, whatever you're doing with that person, right? If it really is, right? And if it's not, you'll come to like your morals and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be selling or doing this. And then, so then the first step is reasoning with it. And then you want to make it psychosomatic. So our subconscious brain doesn't know what's real or what's not. So as long as it gets there, it's now a part of our programming. So the whole key is to become delusional, what I like to say, make something psychosomatic by incorporating that now reasoned belief down to the second layer and use all 5 senses. So you want to then, that's why what they say, do visualization and like immerse yourself in it, like feel it, smell it. This is then, if you're doing it right, like if you're making something psychosomatic and you are literally transforming yourself right then in the moment. And remember, our brain learns off of consistency and dominancy. So dominancy is emotion, and this is the part where if you make it super psychosomatic, incorporate a lot of feeling and emotion to it, it's going to be really engraved into you. And the more and more you do, it's more of like strapping it on, making sure it stays there. Because everything we do is conditioning ourselves. So if you do this one time, and you do it like successfully and like immersively, it'll shift you, yes. But then if you go back out and you live a lifestyle and continue to pollute yourself with things that don't serve that, then you're not programmed like that anymore. So the key is both consistency and dominancy. I'm not saying just dominancy, but that's what you basically want to do. You want to use both.
I love it. And that helps me a lot, because I'm just like really starting to continue moving down that journey. And that's so, and I think that's helpful right here. And I have to ask, in looking at Kelly's questions, would that be a proper exercise to use to help her begin manifesting?
Absolutely. So that's the best tool for her one to manifest. And it's honestly the only tool for you to manifest, and I don't want to say the only tool, because when I say the only tool, if you look at my YouTube channel, I'm constantly talking about how there's millions of tools you can use. What I mean by the only tool is, this is the tool that's happening within every tools. I'm always like to look at the fundamentals of things. So anything that I talk about, it's like you can take this practice, you can take what we're learning here and apply it towards anything. So say if you're talking about in terms of manifest, you first want to get clear on what it is you want to manifest. Make sure it's aligned with something that you authentically want. It's not influenced by any sort of thing. It's something that you want, so you're super jazzed and excited about it. And then you want to make sure that reasonably that makes sense. So like monitor your emotional intelligence then. Like use your emotional intelligence. Like when I think about obtaining this and when I claim these I statements, like how do I feel? Is there any sort of discomfort? And if there is, and if I'm not in alignment when I think about it, I need to address that, because those are my subconscious beliefs. Those are my limitations in my neurology that I need to address. If you don't have any of those, then you can just skip to the step of constantly if you don't have like any resistance within that given moment. Okay, I totally paused there, because if you're not experiencing it now, you do have resistance. So what I was about to say was basically just irrelevant. If you're not experiencing now, you do have resistance. So you then want to monitor what discomfort you have whenever you're saying those. And if you're not seeing it, if you're not feeling it right in the moment, then that's fine. Don't try to dig for it. Don't ever try to dig for it. Keep writing out the good feeling. But then when you start to feel discomfort about it, because it'll pop up for you in the moment, but let it happen. Don't ever dig for it. Then become aware of the feelings. And then you can then reason, be like, where am I attaching the pain and pleasures to? Then when it makes sense and you're back into like alignment, like, yes, this jazzes me, make it super psychosomatic, and then just do it habitually so that it engraves into you and that all of the outside influences don't brainwash you into being a different way. So I would say like it works when you do it, yes, but it's something that it's like a process, like it's like a journey. It's not because it's not done, but then it can never be done because it's always changing, if that makes sense.
And Kelly says she's still here and listening. Good, Kelly. I'm really glad, because we just answered your question. And Angela says, great talk. Your work is so interesting. It really is. Like I feel like I'm reading that book, but I'm not reading the book. And then Cheney says, how can one move from manifesting free things to abundance?
So that is absolutely awesome. If you already know that you have manifested things into your life and you're like, I know I can do this. first it's all about vibration, right? Because it's all about matching vibration. So it's like, what's the feeling of, like, what is the vibration of knowing? Because you get what you expect. So it's like, I know I'm going to get this free thing. What is the vibration of knowing I'm going to get this? And the biggest thing that gets people up is the difference between like something small and big, is that it's that right there. Like, there's a difference in thinking that it is that this thing's bigger and this thing's smaller. And logically, yes, but remember, everything's energy. So when you break everything down to its bare core, everything is energy, and nothing's bigger than smaller. So if you know you can already manifest small things, aka small things, remember everything's the same size, get a hold of the vibration of knowing. When you know you're going to do that, lock onto that, and then realize it's the same thing, in the belief that it's no different. Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, if you guys don't listen to her, definitely check her out. She always says it's no different to manifest a castle as it is a button, because there's no difference in size. So use that principle, and also know that you're just as worthy. You're just as worthy. Just because it's something that seems AKA bigger doesn't mean that you have to do anything different. It's just a matter of knowing, linking up vibrationally to it.
Amen. And that was awesome. And Kelly says, identify resistance, monitor feelings, and let it process, good or bad. Yeah, I want to say something about that, because a lot of the times I think we get caught up in the positivity movement. And this is something that I've seen addressed on both sides. But, and they call it spiritual bypassing now. You sit there and act as if you have to be in a positive state all the time and to not feel the feelings. And the worst thing that you can actually do is to act as if the fear or whatever it is not there, because then you're not actually becoming aware of whatever that lower level vibration is within you. And whatever that lower level vibration, if it's not taken care of, that's like what you're saying, that's going to become the dominant emotion that overtakes. Even though consciously you're like, oh, I'm aligning myself to this vibration, subconsciously you've got all this fear and you're just ignoring it like it's just not there. And that's not, no. So yeah, the process, always feel something first, because that's on the spiritual feeling aspect of it. The things that come up for you, whether they're triggers or whatever, those are the things that you need to work through and heal. So everything, and this was a great shift for me. Everything, whether it's good or bad, because going back to the time thing, good or bad is really like a construct as well. Like, everything is perception based. So, and that's a whole other discussion. But whether it's good or bad, it's always serving you. It's always serving you, whether it's good or bad. It is always serving you. And that's the biggest thing for me, is like, I'm always learning something, whether I like the situation or not. I can always be aligning intent with the fact that I'm learning something and it is absolutely working out for my highest good. And I think, honestly, that's probably why I'm so calm right now, because even though all this is going on, I'm like, you know what, this is actually working out for the highest good of everybody involved. Even though we don't see it right now, like, this is going to be something. I'm not saying the situation is great, you guys. I'm not saying people are good. I'm just saying that we're also dismantling a lot of things that would not have continued to serve us. So that's why I say that. So a lot of people are like, what do you mean this is good? Just, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. All right, so we have 6 minutes-ish. So I would like to, if there's anything else you would like to add that you feel is going to be beneficial before we get off here and I ask you a couple more questions, please do, because I'm more than happy to let you have a few extra minutes, because I like this subject. So.
Oh, I love it, Ashley. Well, I just want to comment back to our last question. I know you had just responded to it, but just so I can make sure I responded to it as well. I love what you said about like feeling the fear so you can identify that low vibration. That is a tool that I've never heard of before, and it is so unbelievably powerful. So because that really helps you clarify, just like leveraging, identifying like the high vibration, you want to, of course, identify the negative vibration, because then you could be like, oh man, I spend a lot of time there. And then you could be like, I don't want to be there anymore, because that's not just neutral. that's negative and I'm spending time there. So I'm just out of alignment. I'm like really out of alignment. So I love that, Ashley. Thank you.
Keep going. I was going to say, where it came from. So I'm reading a book, and you might like it. So it's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and it talks about identifying the roommate, which i.e. is our ego or the little voice inside our head, and other stuff. But what he also talks about is, and I say identifying this because in talking about energy, obviously everybody that's on here should know a little bit about chakras. Like you guys hear me talk about it and stuff. So when we can identify the fear and stuff like that, well, we can begin to recognize these things in our body they're called samskaras. So they're actual little bits of held in energy that were created by a situation like trauma or something at some point in our life. So it's literally like holding in the emotion in an energetic sphere within our body. And so what happens is if we can identify fear, we can also identify any kind of energetic blocks that are within our body. Because if you have energetic blocks, you've now stopped the flow of energy in your body, and you can actually have stagnant energy that is essentially leaking out into your energetic field. So in a sense, I want to say poisoning your energetic field, but when we can identify it, we can acknowledge what part of our body it's coming out of, and also begin to see if we have any kind of energetic blocks within our body. So I kind of botched samskaras, but you put it in the context of, let's say you had a boyfriend that cheated on you, and he drove a yellow Mustang, and it caused you tremendous emotional trauma. And years went by, and you thought you were over it, right? And then all of a sudden, a yellow Mustang passes by you that looks just like that ex-boyfriend's. Well, now all of a sudden, you feel every single emotion in your body as if you were right there back at that same, like the same day that it all happened. So your body has actually held in a negative, low vibrational emotion because maybe you never dealt with it, or you swept it under the rug or whatever. And now because it's coming back up, that by acknowledging that allows you to deal with it. So I've always been told in spiritual work that when you feel those emotions, don't fight them. Don't accept that as a truth. If you're like, I don't want to live in a state of fear, that's not my truth. But ask yourself, why do I feel the fear? Where is the fear emanating from? And that allows you to move that through and eliminate it from your system so that you can go back into alignment with the high vibration. So that's where that came from. That was a big one for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And the beautiful thing of what you said is that eventually, like when it comes up, like whenever that Mustang drives past, because it will come up, you'll know. And so I know it's always like out, because we use the word like subconscious, so it feels like we got to dig for it. But speaking back to like habits and like waking up, I used to wake up and like dig for like my limiting beliefs and like trying to like wake up to like fix myself. Like you never want to do that, because everything in the universe is two things. So it's what you want and what you don't want. It's positive and negative. So when you are fixing yourself, you're on the side of the stick that you are not. You're like literally on the opposite side of the stick that of obtaining and experiencing all that what you want, because you're too busy fixing yourself. So just like Ashley said, like when it comes up, address it 100%, but never do what I used to do and like wake up and feel like you got to like habitually look for like your limiting beliefs and like try to identify them and reprogram them every day. Like, no, that's not necessary. Like only do it whenever it comes up for you. Just like Ashley said, that's the only time when needed. And when it does, make sure that you do, because if you don't do it, it's going to do exactly what she said, and it's going to pollute, it's going to poison your energetic blocks. And then of course it's what you're perceiving in your outer reality. So that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ashley.
And I'll iterate something that you just said about the don't go digging. So whenever I walked into my spiritual journey, and I want to say forcefully shoved myself into it, because I forcefully shoved myself into it. There came a point where, you know, when you're going along the journey and you're dealing with the things, you get to a certain point, you're like, you know what, I just kind of want to get it all out of the way. And I literally put that out into the universe. I was like, just bring it on. Like, let's just do it all. And 2 weeks later, I woke up and I felt like I had been hit by a Mack truck for 2 weeks. So you guys, your words have just as much power. Don't, like, for the love of God, don't dig. For your own sanity and the sake of your physical body, do not dig, because if you go, I just want to fix all my shit right now, the universe is going to go, all right, here's all your shit right now. And you're going to go, oh no. And you might do like what I did, where I literally could not handle people. I left social media for like 2 weeks. I would hide in my bed and just sleep, and I couldn't do anything because I was so paralyzed with my own emotion. I was just like, oh my God, I can't handle this. And so you guys, don't dig. When it comes, it comes. Like, people get really caught up in the feeling of being a broken person, and I have to figure out how to fix myself. When in reality is nobody's, I don't feel that everybody is broken. We're not broken. We all have things that we have to work through. But when it's time to heal it, then it will come up. And that's really as simple as that. Like, when it's time to heal it, it'll come. So, all right. Going through your journey, and you have so much advice. This is what if someone wants to come to you and be like, okay, can you give me like 3 pieces of key advice that are going to help me start moving into this journey so that I can start really living the life I want as the person I want to be? What would the 3 pieces you would give them be?
You said the 3 pieces?
Yes, 3 pieces.
The 3 pieces would be, number 1, make sure that what you want is authentic. Like, I kind of mentioned it a little bit already. But what I mean authentic is that a lot of us want to be, or our goals are identified because of influence of society, what seems acceptable by their loved ones, and everything around them, or see the likelihood. Like, I want to do this because my original plan or my second plan or my third plan is just not likely, or I didn't find a way to make it work. So make sure that it is authentic, because if it is not authentic, long-term, you're going to self-sabotage, and you could apply the laws of the universe. You could apply how to reprogram yourself, but it's going to be a continuous undoing, because I don't know the name of this law, but if I'm going to give it a name, there's like a law of fulfillment. If you don't do what fulfills you, you will always self-sabotage in getting what you want. So you can't keep a prolonged manifestation if it's not in alignment with like who you truly are. Like I said, I don't know the name of that law, but that's for real. So number 1, make sure it gets super clear that it's authentic. And then whenever you start to feel any sort of doubt, any sort of, I can't do this, I can't do that. Number 2, take note of everything in that moment, because you're now having an emotional intelligence breakthrough whenever you start to identify the things that you truly want but aren't receiving and perceiving because of X, Y, and Z. So then number 2 is you'll want to write all that out, because since you're now taking note of that, it's then going to start coming into, it's going to start coming up for you. And then number 3 would then be to start using the exercise that we talked about today. And I would do it daily. So you're not digging when you do this. You are merely, you're anchoring it down. You're anchoring down the belief. You're anchoring down the belief. Because like I said, as you go throughout the day, you are being conditioned for whatever you have been absorbed throughout your human sponge. So you want to make sure that you intentionally are pouring your own water into your sponge with whatever you want that watercolor to be. So that's why I say you still want to do it all the time. But once you, again, like for the 3rd step, if you just hopped on or you didn't really catch it through it, it's basically taking a belief, taking that image, and then passing it through the 3 layers of the brain, or the first 2 layers of the brain down to the 3rd, so that it literally becomes a part of your programming. It literally becomes a part of your subconscious, your dominant vibration, because yes, you could change your vibration consciously in the moment, but our subconscious is what is ruling majority of our day. And so the key is to get that vibration in alignment with what we want, because that's when we truly experience it 360 and not just little magical moments of manifestation. So those would be my 3 tips. And make sure that you do that each and every day.
And if anybody's wondering, like when she says how much of your life is controlled by your subconscious, 95% of your brain is controlled by your subconscious, everybody. 95%. When I saw that, I was like, oh no. 5% is your conscious mind, you guys. 5%. That's it. You operate off 5% of your conscious mind. So what you think of in your conscious mind is 5% of your overall actual thinking in life. So that really, you guys, that should not be depressing. That should be like, well, what do I really think? And again, that's not digging. That's actually becoming aware of your thought processes. And this is why one of my favorite techniques, and you might know this, is brain dumping. People go, I can't get my mind to shut off so that I can meditate. Okay, brain dump. And they're like, well, what the hell is brain dumping? You guys, you are literally in there. And I don't know the science. You might know it. But there is a science that comes from taking pen to paper and putting your thoughts into it. And it's the weirdest thing, but I can tell you from personal experience, when you brain dump, you literally I tell everybody, a line on the paper is a thought. A line is a thought, and you just assign a thought to each line, and you keep going and going and going, and then there will come a point where your brain will literally be empty, and there will be nothing in it, and you won't be able to write anymore. You'll probably feel tired because you just gave a lot of energy out of you that was swirling up inside of you. And what will happen is, if you're like me, you'll go back and you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh my God, I actually think that. And I'll say that because I had a brain dump in like 4 months. I brain dumped 4 months ago. I was having a really hard time. And I looked, and my subconscious thoughts that I was not even aware of were like, you're going to fuck this up again. You're going to end up being a loser. You're probably going to fail. Like, and I'm going, oh my God. And consciously, I'm sitting here telling myself you're abundant and da, 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 da. But subconsciously, I have this really, really shitty narrative going on. And I had to ask myself, well, why do I feel that way? And so you guys, when you want to become aware of what's going on, again, the journaling, like you just said, become aware, like brain dump your thoughts and ask yourself, like, and put it in this way, like what he said in that book. Imagine that voice that says those things is a roommate in your house or a person. Would you want to hang out with that person? If you don't want to hang out with that person, why would you allow yourself to talk to yourself like that, right? So we want to become aware of everything that comes into ourselves so that we can, like you said, align to that higher vibration and not be dealing with the low vibration stuff. So, all right. So this is the part of the show where you tell everybody where they can find you, because I'm sure people are going to go, what the hell? What do you do?
Yes, my loves. All right. So you can find me on a few different social media sites. I am primarily on, so there's two different things. I'm primarily on YouTube when it comes to all of like my tools. If you want to know like the how-tos and a lot of like the information, that's YouTube. You can find me under Elizabeth Otis, Depth and Fancy, Elizabeth spelled with a Z, O-T-I-S. Just type me into YouTube. I have a ton of YouTube videos on there. Lots of material on there for free. And then you can also plug into the Be Live community. So if you have been listening to the whole podcast, or, if not, you might want to tune into the beginning again, of course. Be Live, it's a culture, but we have a whole community around it, right? Because I'm not the only Be Liver. Ashley's not a Be Liver, she already was, but now she knows there's a name to it. And you guys all are too. Like, you are Be Livers. You just didn't know there was a name to it too. So come be with your fellow Be Livers. Come be with the family. Come join the movement. We are BLIVE on Facebook. That's kind of like our group where we socialize, connect, help each other with whatever projects we have going on there. I post in there daily with additional material. I tell you guys whenever I of course, have a new video out, and let you know of any additional juice that I wouldn't already put on YouTube. So that's kind of like a bonus group as well. That's absolutely free for you guys too. And I highly encourage you guys to be in there, because each and every person in there is super loving, and we're just like a big family.
I'm in the group and I love it. And it's cool because you came along after I did a massive group purge. And I was like, I only want to be in groups that that really, like you said, that really pour into me. Because one of my things, you guys, that I've had to recognize is allowing myself to be around lower vibrational energies. Friend or not, or whatever, but still being around people that don't pour into me the same way, because I'm naturally a pourer. I want to see you operate at your highest good, because I see that potential in everybody. But you guys, I don't always get around people that feel the same way. So, and before we get off here, I'll say something for anybody. In order to protect yourself from those energies, because here's the thing about all this and why this is also important. You got to learn how to discern what's yours and what's not. Like, I like how you talked about the authenticity. There's also possibilities of taking on energy that's not yours and taking on vibrations that don't belong to you. Because especially if you're someone like me who's highly empathic and can actually soak in other people's stuff. You want to protect your energy. So you guys learn to shield your energy before you go out into the world so that you can discern what is your vibration versus what is not. And you're not lowering your vibration for something that's not actually like yours, if that makes sense. I don't like saying a lot of stuff, but yeah, and then that's why I like your community though, because it's just like, oh, look, all these happy people and good vibrations, you guys, all this makes me happy. Makes me happy around all the happy people. But thank you so much. That was really awesome. I'm like, man, this is great. I'm learning so much good stuff right now. So, and you said podcast, and I'm like, it's going to be a podcast. So very soon this will be a podcast. So that I'm really excited. I always like being able to bring on people who have a lot, and I feel like everybody has a lot, but I love it when people have actual like tangible tools that are going to help people make their life better. So that's always a lot of fun. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ashley. The fact that you just provide this platform for your audience to learn from and for other people to grow from is just absolutely amazing. And I just appreciate you so much for allowing me to be on and speak to your people. So thank you.
Yes. All right, you guys, we are a little bit over, but it's okay because I always enjoy getting to like let it go a little bit sometimes. But all right, you guys, we are going to have the panel show, and I hope one day you'll come on to one of the panels. I mean, you can come on next Tuesday. But the panel, you guys, I'm really like, when it started, I was like, what is this going to become, and do I have to come up with a theme? So, you guys, I really want the panel to be a space where everybody again can come. She said, you are going to be a podcast. No, I'm turning this back in. It's going to be a show with a podcast. So you guys, I'll talk about it more when it comes. I'm going to talk about it until it gets closer. But you guys, the panel is going to be here to serve you guys and all these women that come onto it. The whole core goal is to not only talk about what's going on, because again, we really want to identify those vibrations so that we can then turn around and work out of them. So you guys, with the panel, my goal is always to not only like acknowledge what's going on, because again, it goes back to that bypassing to act like everybody's good. It's good, you guys. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but it's okay, So we want to acknowledge that. We want to see how, it's kind of a check-in too, because all the people on the panel are in different places. But then I want to be able to provide you guys with tools from the people who come on. So tools and ways that you can work through whatever you have going on, because the only way to move forward in anything is to first move through whatever it is that is keeping you from moving forward. And just a reminder, you guys, generally, whatever is keeping you from moving forward is yourself. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm my own blocker. We're all our own blocker, you guys. We're all our own blocker, all right? All right, you guys. Oh, yeah, and Angela says love the panel. I do too. I love the panel. All right, you guys. So next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be having our first official running panel. So the panel will be next Tuesday, and then we'll do story shows on Thursday, you guys. But always at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see you guys there. For anybody who catches us on the replay, #replay. You guys, the meditation is in the comments. So please click on that. I'm probably going to go to sleep every night and listen to that thing because I feel so good when I wake up in the morning. And you guys go follow Elizabeth, join the community. And if you guys feel called to share this show, I think everybody should share this show. I would love all of you if you would do that for me. Okay. All right. So, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.